we've all kind of covered what's happening on the protest. So we're not going to be covering the Columbia protest as if it's a new story. We're kind of just going to be giving an update. So the first part I want to do is just kind of show maybe three like videos that are like under 30 seconds, just to give people a vibe of what sort of is happening on the ground before we get to the part of the story that we do want to talk about. So the new McCarthyism, Columbia University and the solidarity encampments. And like I was saying, we've all kind of covered this story initially already. This is more of just updating on what's been going, the latest. But before we do that, let's watch maybe three very short videos just of what's happening on the ground. This is the first one from Breakthrough News. And I can talk over it. So this video is just showing inside and outside. So you see the ones behind the barricade. Those are the people who aren't students, and they're there at the protest. And then you have the point of view, the people who are inside the gate are students. So that's this dynamic is going to come up again, whereas inside and outside protests. So just keep that in mind. The next video I want to show is this one here, and she just kind of goes over what's happening on the ground. This is 5 days ago, and the tents and all of that. So let's listen to what she says here.
Hey everybody, we're here on day 5 at the Gaza Solidarity Encampment at Columbia University. We won a concession from administration, so now we're able to build tents. You can see us starting to build tents over on this side of campus. And also, it's Admitted Students Day. So folks that were admitted to the university are visiting for the first time. They're deciding if they want to come to Columbia. So we at the encampment have started what we're calling the People's University for Palestine, where students that are organizers within Columbia University Apartheid Divest are coming up and speaking about their organization. They're talking about why their organization decided to join the coalition of Columbia University Apartheid Divest, any instances of repression that they've experienced from administration, trying to squander the voice of their organization.
So this young lady here, we can hear and get a glimpse of, because she's one of the organizers, one of many organizers there, just sort of their strategies, just sort of their thinking during this protest time on the ground. They even had some big names that I would say it's very important for you kids, so you can. So this is Susan Sarandon at the protest. Go ahead, Kit or Nick, whoever. I can see you, whoever.
I was actually just want to bring up here. Hey, so where's AOC at, and how come she's not joining those little protesters? How come? Where's she at? That's
she was with Markey and Biden in the woods planting a tree.
Okay, all right, fair enough.
I'll bring that video. I'll bring that clip up too. Go ahead.
I see some like politicians, like progressive politicians, like obviously all the mainstream politicians are condemning this, but then like I don't even want that. You know what I mean? Like any progressive politician who's trying to rub their elbows on this shit. I wouldn't. That will only make the movement dirty. So I'm glad that AOC is fucking taking selfies with Biden instead. But anyway, let's continue, CJ.
That is a great point. So here's and I do want to, the reason I'm playing her is because there's another one I'm gonna play right after this. These are the two sides. This is kind of this gives you an illustration of the two sides in this debate that's happening on the Columbia University campus. And you have the side that Susan Sarandon's on. Then you have the side that this unhinged Zionist professor from Columbia. I'm going to play it in just a second. Let's listen to what Susan says. It's very short.
That it is very important to have their voices heard. And that is their right in a democracy. Especially in a place of education. And supposedly higher thought. To be attacked. With racism. And intolerance. Is not acceptable.
Now it sounds like a prayer, but it's not. It's more of an affirmation. She says it, and then they sort of reaffirm what she's saying. But it kind of sounds like a prayer. So that's one side, and I would say that's the side that most of us that are watching right now are on. We're on the same side where we're actually just trying to save people's lives. We're not advocating for anything that is bad or hurtful or anything like that. But then you have people on the opposite side, on the side of genocide, where they can't come out and just be like genocide. They can't say I love genocide and let's all do some genocide. They have to pretend and create these large illusions and delusions around their position as if they're the victims. This unhinged Zionist professor from Columbia University, I got 2 videos to show of him.
Jeez, this guy.
This is the shorter one, 17 seconds. This is him. You saw the protests. Let's listen to what he says the reaction should be of the protests, the encampments that we briefly saw. Let's listen to him.
I know it's painful to say this. I know there's a fraud history in the United States with U.S. colleges, but it's time to bring in the National Guard because the NYPD is in over their head. Obviously, the President Shafiq and the administration are unwilling to do anything about this.
Unwilling to do anything about what is the question I would ask this professor. But gentlemen, there's another video of him, a little bit longer video that I do want to play before we chime in about him in particular, and that's this one right here. This is Hair on Fire Nuts. Let's listen. We're not going to listen to all of it, maybe about 45 seconds of it, but let's listen. That's him right there in the crowd. Let's listen.
Media in is the university keeping the media out. This is the COO of the university. Are we not letting the media in? What? Can you back up, please? My card has been deactivated? Why? Can you back up, please? Wait. Everybody, my card has been deactivated. This is Cass Holloway, the COO. This is Gerald Lewis. They were in the meeting where I asked them if Hamas is a terror organization, and they couldn't say that it is a terrorist organization. Why? I'm a professor. Why can't I?
Shai,
No. Speak out loud so the media.
Shai, we are willing to take you to the math lawn.
No, I am a professor here.
Alumnus. We have a
Wait, everybody quiet. I am a professor here. I have every right to be everywhere on campus. You cannot let people that support Hamas on campus and me, a professor, not go on campus. Let me in now.
Let us in.
No. Are you not letting a professor go on campus?
This is the clown show and the sort of like trying to egging on the crowd, and it's all over what? Like, what is this all over? I heard somebody kind of laughing. If you wanted to chime in.
Yeah, it's me. That was me who was
Go
laughing. Okay, well, this guy's just screaming and begging for attention. Look at me, look at me, look at me. I'm so triggered. You're a college professor. You're supposed to be enlightened and supposed to see things through different perspectives and points of view. But when you start making an ass out of yourself, and there's another video of him actually screaming at the crowd and stomping his feet. This guy is this man is a clown, and he says, everyone step back, step back. He's making it about himself. What he is somebody who's going after clout, and he is someone who's hogging the spotlight, making it about himself, not about what's happening in Gaza, not about what the IDF is doing to the Palestinian people. He is focusing on him, and probably maybe he has a bone to pick with the administrative staff. I mean, there's a reason why his card got deactivated. What did you do to cause this situation, my friend? All right, you did something in which the administrative staff decided to deactivate your card. Did you make too much of a scene? What are you trying to do? Are you making it about yourself? And he keeps saying, everyone get back, get back, get back. But you brought the crowd there.
Yeah, it turns out he realizes checkpoints are kind of a bitch, right? Almost like it sucks when you're trying to get somewhere and you got to get through a checkpoint and they won't let you through. Sure, it's the first time he's ever thought about it that way. But as I understand, and I could be wrong about this because this is all breaking and there's multiple sources, saying different things. But I think they deactivated his card for his own quote unquote safety, because things are, supposedly
to
very
keep them
fraught
off
and tense
campus
in
and not
there.
get, yeah, okay.
And and look, this is a narrative that they are sort of trying to put out there, is that it's dangerous on campus with all the protesters, right? So between that and the fact that this guy, as Kit said, makes a scene wherever he goes, there's the video, very short one that went kind of viral, of him stomping his feet and screaming in the middle of the lawn. They might think it's better from a PR standpoint to keep him out, because they could say they're keeping him out for his own safety, which only perpetrates the narrative that it's unsafe to be there, which of course it's not unsafe to be there. No one's been assaulted, no one's been hurt, no one's been viently threatened. This is a debate that we had months ago about political speech, about academic freedom, and I thought this was pretty much settled. I talked about this earlier this evening, how these campus protests, the judgment about the campus protests was kind of in the rearview mirror. Like we had this big debate about the campus protests in late October 2023, November. But then as news out of Gaza just got worse and worse and worse, and the Israeli narrative just imploded, I thought the general consensus was that criticisms of those protests was kind of silly. And then this Iran airstrike swap happens, and all of a sudden Israel gets this infusion of goodwill from the media back to the point where now we're litigating the protests again. And so I think, I can't say this for sure, but I think the reason they deactivated his card was under the excuse that it was a safety risk to him for him to go in.
For him specifically, not just professors, because he's an antagonist. He's antagonizing.
He is, exactly. Yes,
that is a great point. That is a great point. Now, I was all leading up to this article that gives a great analysis of what was going on, and I just want to read a little snippet and get your reaction. We can get to the last segment. Columbia University students defy crackdown, continue pro-Palestinian protests as solidarity action spread to other campuses. And I'm not going to be reading about that, so I'll just say it. But yeah, this protest, this encampment sort of style protest that began, I believe, on the sister college campus of Columbia University. I forget what it's called. It starts with a B, B-R-A something.
Yeah, Barnard.
Yeah. So, and it spread to multiple campuses. I know Yale. I think I heard North Carolina, some other schools that it spread. But let me just read a little bit from this article. It's a great article about just the latest on what's happening. The statement of Biden and Adams made clear, and Adams is the president of the Columbia University, made clear that the attack on students at Columbia is not simply a matter of overreach by a university administration, but part of a coordinated political attack aimed at criminalizing and suppressing opposition to the policies of U.S. imperialism. And that first part, gentlemen, that's what stuck out to me when I first read this. And this is one of the first paragraphs of this article, is that is a spot on analysis of what it's not just about saving a genocide. It's not just about a ceasefire. This is about suppressing people who are speaking against U.S. imperialism, the U.S. empire, and they can't let this sort of infection, as they would see it, spread. So I thought that was a great point. I can read some more and then get you guys' opinions. In their statements, Democratic officials falsely implied that pro-Palestinian demonstrators were instigating violence. Meanwhile, the Democrats joined with Republican fascists in the House of Representatives to pass a series of bipartisan bills providing $95 billion to continue funding the U.S.-NATO war against Russia and Ukraine, increase supply of weapons for Israel's genocide in Gaza, and step up preparations for war against China. Last week's arrest of over 100 Columbia and Barnard, and here's that school I was talking about, Barnard students who were carrying out a peaceful encampment to protest the Gaza genocide, marked a major escalation in the assault on democratic rights, not only in New York, but across the country. University president, I can't say the person's name, I'll just say the university president, first suspended the students and then called the NYPD to remove them for supposedly trespassing. Students have reported being held by police in zip ties for over 7 hours. And I'm going to skip to this last part here. Students and faculty at Columbia University are continuing to defy police state repression of pro-Palestinian protests, with students occupying the South Lawn for a 5th straight day on Sunday. That was just yesterday. Rather than silencing opposition to genocide, Columbia's brutal attack on democratic rights, orchestrated and backed by the Biden administration and both big business parties, have re-energized protests at campuses around the country. And you can see that with the spreading of this encampment style protests. And that's all I had on the article, gentlemen. Any final words on the latest and what's
I found his Twitter account,
University
and apparently this guy, he's a Jewish Israeli father, partner, Zionist, and assistant professor. That's who he is, and he's been posting everything on social media in regards to him not having access onto campus, talking about how Columbia is under siege because, oh, heaven forbid, people talk about a genocide. You know, when you see men, women, and children starving to death, you got to realize that something's wrong. When you see men, women, and children running to get food and they get shot up, you got to speak out, don't you? I mean, you just can't just have your blinders and earmuffs on the whole time. And I'm kind of getting rather enraged at the fact that no matter what is seen or shared on social media, it's always, oh my goodness, but remember October 7th. Well, you know, I call a lot of questions in regards to how that day went down, especially those infamous guys on hang gliders, because, you know, an open air prison, maximum security, watchtowers, barbed wire fences, surveillance cameras, and drones. You know, you got to train up to use one of those things or you're going to bust your skull open. Kind of makes me wonder if that really was Hamas flying those little parachute kites, flying in there and being all, you know, hyped up as, oh my goodness, look at Hamas, they're doing these sleek operations. Was that really them? Because last I checked, it wasn't Israel also given a heads up that there was going to be an inside job on October 7th. So to this professor who's panicking and crying about his students, you know, maybe, I don't know, turn down your perspective, maybe see the other side. And when you see the men, women, children in Palestine starving to death, maybe you might get a human heart again. Maybe. I don't know. Controversial statement.
Yeah, one of the reasons why this Columbia story has the ruling class in shambles, and one of the reasons why we should be celebrating it, because I couldn't give you guys a better example of what it means to be a class traitor. What we see at Columbia, I mean, these are children of wealthy elites, my friends.
Yes.
Ilhan Omar's daughter, for example, as well. So this is why this is such an effective challenge to the empire, because we are seeing a union between the interests of anti-war proletarians and the moral heartstrings of bourgeoisie children align. Mm-hmm. So now these children must be praised because they are using their privilege as a weapon. The police in the authoritarian structures that we have are less likely, and they are hesitant toward using vicious violence on these children because they come from the privileged class. So what we have right now is the purest expression of what it means to be a class traitor and class traitor action, where they're using their privilege as a shield to fight against the Palestinian conflict. And a lot of people are missing this point. That's why this is extremely important, because now we have parents of the capitalist class are in line with Israel. They're realizing they are losing their children. Something they've been complaining about for a long time. I don't know. I don't remember this guy's name. Probably you guys know, but the guy, Bill Ackman. I think
yeah, I know. I remember Bill Ackman.
His daughter. Yeah. One of the reasons why he went on this whole thing about critical race theory and what being taught in schools is because his daughter is a Marxist who is for a free Palestine. It's one of the funniest stories you ever see. So because he lost his daughter and his daughter became a Marxist, when he was a neocon capitalist Zionist. You gotta know who Bill Ackman is.
Oh, sure, yeah.
It literally broke his brain to the point where he went on a whole campaign about how we should change how we educate our children.
Well, it's not just that. I mean, that is a huge part of it, but you know, on his recommendation, you had law firms rescinding job offers to these kids if they were out there protesting in the early days. I mean, everything Nick said was spot on. I second every word of it. It's a great point and a really great insight. And you're right. It's something that is overlooked a lot. The fact that the cops are less likely to bash these kids' head in because they know they'll get fucking sued if you bash a rich kid's head in, right? Right. And so that's a great point. And then the only thing I would add to that, and you touched on this too, Nick, is that, yeah, these kids are like, they come from privilege, so they can sustain losses in ways that poor and working class kids can't. But they are going to incur losses. Like, they have had job offers rescinded. Some of them have been suspended. If they keep this going, as I hope and pray they do, and I'm going to try to get down to Columbia. I feel like I really have to try and get down there, especially since Russ is in LA, because Russell lives like 3 blocks from there, but he's in Los Angeles this week. Yeah, I mean, they are putting stuff on the line, right? I mean, I can't say they're putting it all on the line, since a lot of these kids are wealthier. They have a spare bedroom to fall back on, you know, if it gets really tough, but they are costing themselves something. Like, that's real. And, you know, so much of like liberal politics is cost-free virtue signaling, right? People can tweet out, you know, their rage against Donald Trump, or their rage against January 6th, or, you know, even the more substantive causes like the BLM protests of 2020. A lot of people put the black screen on the profile and that was it, you know, which is a great sentiment, but it didn't cost them anything. There was no risk involved. Here, there's a lot of risk involved, as we've seen already. And the fact that they're willing to take that risk is quite big of them, I have to say. And so, yes, much love to these kids who are out there doing this, even as the cops start cracking down.
And I don't want to get too much into theory right now, but you guys see the authoritarian nature of the capitalist structure, on how people like Bill Ackman can make a blacklist and financially ruin you. Do you guys know how many people I know who've been ruined since October 7th? I know multiple people, including someone I'm working on getting on the show, who was a professor who was fired. I know a teacher who was fired. I know people who was fired because they post on social media shit. This is what authoritarianism looks like. Everyone used that word. No one knows what it means. If you live in a capitalist society where capital is extremely important, the most important thing, and then the people who are inside the establishment can weaponize capital and ruin your chances to get capital because of the political choices you make, that is the height of authoritarianism, my friends.
That's exactly it. I mean, this is authoritarianism, and this is just another example of why when AOC opens her mouth and says, we got to protect democracy. What democracy? What republic? People are being blacklisted from going to work, and people are being fired. And you want people to stick their neck out for the Democratic Party? No, you guys are on board with this. No way.